Welcome everyone. Today I want to share some ideas how to train more on the movement of your upper body in defense moves. More exactly, we want to have a look at the roll under move that we know more from classical boxing, but it has we can use it in our Muay Thai game too, with some things to have in mind, which will come later. You can see it as a technique sequence. As the last video, it can also be fine to do instead of shadow boxing, or something which you can also just include in your shadow boxing to have a bit of variation. So you do need something you can put in your room, a string. I just took my hand wraps, they're perfectly fine for it, and you should bring it somewhere so that it's round about the same height of your head, a bit above your shoulders in this size. Yeah, we will work movement, upper body. It's also about footwork, and it's a bit about precise movements of the hands. So enjoy.
So, of course, first of all, you bring your hand wraps or whatever you use in place. The roll under, or I also know it as the name weave move, is a defense move which we use to avoid getting hit by strikes, classically by hooks, but it can also work against straight strikes. So we start in a stable stand, of course, guard is up, and you start weaving, rolling under like in a flat U form. Be really careful to not go down too low. When we use it in Muay Thai, always remember there are the knees of the person in front of you coming closer the more down you get. So it's really a flat movement, go as flat as you can. And we take a closer look at what the feet are doing. Basically, the feet aren't doing anything. You work with a shift of your weight through the movement of your knees here in standing. So the second version we can have is to drop one hand as we roll under. Really important is you take the shoulder up instead of your guard with your hand to protect your face. The shoulder turns in, so you have a rotation movement in your body. The close up at the feet also shows they are moving to here, turning in to replace the guard. Stay straight in your upper body as you go down. Have the knees in mind. So these are the two moves. We want to use them while walking forward and backward underneath our wraps. So we are back with the first version. Guard is up and walking forward and backward with the roll under move, with the weave move, and the feet. Of course, they are doing the walking forward, walking backward, keeping the same distance to each other. And walking back. Of course, we can also do it with the other version, dropping the hand, walking forward and backwards. Here's the close-up of the feet. They are turning. Tap, 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 tap. It's kind of your rhythm you use for your steps. One thing very important to have in mind, this technique really has one weakness when we use it in Muay Thai, because when you use it too often, you expose yourself for head kicks. So you shouldn't use it too often in a row in a fight or in a sparring. So we are back with guard up, and we want to bring in the counters now. When we weave, we clearly see we have a position of the shoulders. We have one shoulder in the front and one in the back, and we always use the hand in the back to go for the counters because this is loaded up. From the dynamic of your motion, makes sense to use the side which is loaded up. And practice the precise movement of your hands and trying to hit your wrap with your counter strikes. And of course this we can also do in motion, walking forward, coming in with a counter strike. I'm showing it very slow here so we don't get lost of details. Of course you can always speed up exercises and increase your speed to work on quick reactions. And the straight counters, of course, we can also use from the other variation. Very important here is that you need to get your hand back in guard. Hand goes back, then you go for the counter strike. You can very nice check it yourself with the wrap, because if you don't put your hand back in guard, you will feel the hand wrap in your face. So you will feel if the guard is there or not. The hand needs to go back before you go for the counter strike. Also this we want to do in walking forward, coming in with a counter strike, walking backwards. And yeah, have in mind this technique has a weakness when you use it in Muay Thai. But there can still be a lot of situations where it makes sense to use it. So turn in your shoulder for the counter strike. Okay, and of course we can also work with different techniques for counters. The straight punches were just an example. You can also work on your hooks. Remember, the underarm is parallel to the floor. You have a 90-degree angle in your elbow joint. And for now we worked out of a stand. You can see I'm adding a bit stepping out with my roll under, with my weave move, to change the angle a bit of my counter hook. And of course the hooks as a counter also work with the other version, dropping the hand, rolling under, coming in for a counter with a hook. And also here, add some motion again, walking forward, backwards. And also in your walks forward, backwards, you can always play a bit around how big you make the steps, how your angle is towards the wraps. And We can, for example, also counter with elbows here if we go underneath the wrap really close. Have in mind to use the open hand when you go in for your elbow strikes. So the open hand goes like if you want to put it in your shirt, palm faces the room, and make sure you have the elbow as your guard. And then you can just combine different strikes for your counters. You can work on all the techniques you want to practice on. I'm just going for strikes with the hands and the elbows here in the video, but of course here you have all the possibilities. You can include your knees, your kicks if you have enough space for your counters. You can build up, you can start with one counter, you can go with a 1-2 classic one like I'm doing here now. You can play around with the angles, you can build up more counter strikes. Be creative here. Here's again a close-up of the feet. I'm going for the weave with a little step out to change the angle for my 1-2 counter attack there. So, and the last thing, we want to have a look at the step outs, or also named circle steps. Also have a look at the video from Vali where she exactly explains this technique. Here I go through more quickly just to remind you, this is also something you can combine with your roll under, and you can practice with this tool of the wraps. You can check your distance with your long guard. Of course, here you can also add all the combinations, all the counter attacks you want to work on. Knees, elbows, after stepping out, coming in with different counter attacks. Another close up, what happens with the feet in the step out. Important, when I'm in the orthodox stand and I'm going to the right side, I'm switching stance.